Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen the last episode, we managed to get the scuttle fully welded onto the car. So it does mean we can come back to the drawing board, scrub scuttle off. The next point of call is to get the scuttle closing panels to fit nice. After test fitting these, they are going to take a bit of work. It's pattern panel fitting with a heritage panel. It's sort of never that easy to get on with, but they aren't hard. You just got to trim them and knock them around. Like they do fit. They're there to stop water ingress into the car, and also I feel like they give the top of the scuttle a bit more rigidity, even though it's dead strong as it is now. But that being said, that is a big. We can't do that. Well, you can do it after you've done your front end, but you wouldn't want to. It's hard, especially with the MPI with all the bits and pieces in the way. So we're going to look at doing that first. Then we're going to try and trial fit the front end. Don't know if we're going to do welding done in this episode, but at the end of the day, we can scrub something off here. And like the scuttle, it took a little while to get things fitting how I wanted it, and you can't rush this sort of thing because you're just not going to be happy with it otherwise. So like mentioned in the last episode, we need to take a little bit more out of the passenger wing. I put a bit too much in, but like I said, it's easy to take it out, it's so hard to put it back, so literally just need to smidge off just to allow that front panel to sit back that side. But we'll play the scuttle closers, then we'll take the front panel off, do that, put the front panel back on. Yeah, and go from there. I'm toying with the idea of welding the wings to the front panel, like lining it up on the car and taking it off as a whole. I quite like that idea. It means you can get a nice fitment around the front, but we'll see. The issues with the side of the front panel are kind of irrelevant if I can get the wing to look nice, because we're going to cut it all out anyway to do the Sportspack mod. So it's not the right way to think about it, but it is also a way of overcoming an issue. So we'll see what happens, but for now, let's get that scrubbed off the board. And let's get into some more panel work. Also, before we get going, please remember to like this video, share it amongst your friends, comment below whatever you like. It really helps the channel. At the end of the day, this MPI it's really coming together now. It's getting really exciting. So thank you everyone that has supported the channel. Also, before I forget, please check out our link in the description below for our sponsors, Frost, for all your restoration needs. Right, so let's just have a bit of a play around with the wing. So I did mention in the last episode that I should have done it really, but I pulled this panel out, just pulled it out, and it's made it fit a bit nicer there. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a sec, but I just wanted to show you the fitment around here. It's perfect. Really nice bonnet gap there. We have just got to sort out that front panel really. It is such a shame that it's like that. Scuttle closing panels are just holding that up. But I just wanted to place this in as well, and you can kind of start seeing it come together. So these A panels do fit really well, these heritage ones. We put them on the Clubman and they work really well. They just take a little bit of fettling on the poster just to get them to sit how you want, but not too shabby. The wing needs to come up a little bit. Just literally got to play around. It's quite hard to get the clamps on it, but obviously for filming purposes I just want to show you guys how it all goes together. So all along there, so this seam here will be spot welded to make it look nice and tidy. But the scuttle closer, like I say, is designed to stop water coming into the underside of here. So we'll just pull these off and we'll have a look at that. So these are the two scuttle closers that we've got. They're a Magnum panel. So you can see it's got the flat edge there. Well, if you can call that flat. That's the sort of thing you're having to deal with. And it basically sits up inside there, and you can already see that's not going to work. So it's okay how they overhang here, because you can weld to that. To be fair, it helps, gives you something to weld to. It also gives you something to weld the wing from the underside. So don't mind that too much, although I do trim them back flush because I think it looks tidier. Even though you never see it, but I think it looks tidier. It also gives them less chance for something to get in the seam. But you can see there, that's nowhere near as high as it should be. So I'm not going to bend the scuttle. The scuttle's perfect, the wing fits lovely. I'm not going to, this is why you spend the money on this panel, because it works. So we're going to manipulate this. Basically, I remember doing this, obviously I made these for the Clubman. You can fold them round and you can knock them around a little bit. They are, like I say, purely an end cap. So it fits to the car nice. It just doesn't fit very well anywhere else. So what we're going to do is probably end up folding that edge in and profiling it a little bit more to match the profile of that. So yeah, there's a nice clean edge in there. So what we'll do is we'll tidy this back. Obviously all this gets painted. If you saw the Budget Club, then you know I painted all this bronze yellow inside. But that was designed to sit up in there. So we can get these fitting. That's a plus because these are often overlooked. But obviously you need to fit them in. You can't get. It's so much easier to do it right when it's like this than try and do it when the wing's on. So that's the biggest thing. A lot of people ask about using the wings, what we're doing with them. So off camera I'm going to tidy them back. I'm going to take these off, double check everything, make sure it's all okay. But really it is quite fine. Normally if these are completely rotted out you can see it from the other side, and weirdly enough this car's actually okay. This is all surface rust, so just clean that back, treat it. And the inside of these probably has some sort of stone chip I would have thought, just to keep them nice rust at bay. Another reason why I've not gone mad cleaning back my welds, because you're never going to see it again. So leave that as it is for now, but let's get these fitting. Right, so that little bit of fettling has really helped. So it's allowed this panel to sit further back. As you can see, it sits pretty much spot on to where the old panel would have come up to. Still lines up nicely around here, which you would sort of expect. So that's quite bob on for the panel. But obviously, it's only bolted in. So what I've done, as you can see, this all needs dollying out, otherwise your wing is never going to sit properly. But what I have done is just pushed this that way, and it's allowing the wing to sit a little bit nicer. We're miles off, yeah, but so obviously you got those tabs, they need bending in. The wing needs to come out a little bit, not too hard to do. Same again on this side, that obviously all needs to sit back. Yeah, I'm pretty happy at that. So let's drop the wings on and see where we're at. Right, so really focusing on this side. Just by bending that out, it's made it a bit better. So obviously the wing will sit there. So that's already noticeably better. As you can see, there's very little protruding out of there now, but this all needs panel beating and fettling. Can't do anything with it, how it is, but it fits nice all the way along there. And then, like I say, you'll lose about there on the arch. So you picture the arch be over there, and we'll cut that out. But I don't want this sticking out, but if you look at this, because everything's loose, it's all metal, guys. You can just manipulate it to how you want it. But yeah, the wing needs to come in further. That's my biggest issue at the moment. So, check panel gaps. We're getting there. Loads of fettling. Doesn't happen overnight. Never had a front end fit first time. Yeah, happier at that. Progress. I mentioned, cannot do anything with the wings until we get these fitting a bit nicer. So, plan is, we're going to start finessing. Right, so we need to get these to fit a bit better. So the plan is we need to start finessing. The easier thing to get these to fit is they do, like say, they do mention they do overhang a little bit. They don't affect how the wing fits. But really, I like it to overhang just a smidge, just so you can put a nice stitch weld it all the way along. I do find that works better. So the biggest thing you need to do really is kind of fold these edges in, just to make it sit a little bit more flush to the car. So you can kind of see there, that is nowhere near. So the easy thing to do is, you can just bang that in the vise, so you can probably bang it, sort of roll it in your hand and just sort of get that straight. You basically need that to be flat against the car. That's the easiest way to put it. A lot of people have asked about doing these. They aren't too hard, and let's be, I'm not gonna turn around and say they need to look pretty, because they don't. They need to stop water getting in, so you need them as far up inside the scuttle as you can possibly get them. So I do think that folding in these panels, these flanges on the edge a little bit, is going to sort that out. So we'll get on with that, and yeah, see you guys on time lapse and start getting the hammer out. Right guys, so I'm using a panel beating hammer and some old, quite old, like, they get oiled every time I use them, quite crappy pair of pliers really. And all I'm doing is I'm folding this lip up to meet this. So before it was sat here, it was sat, you know, you literally, there's a good inch there where it was sat below. And all I've done is push the back in, push that, the flange, the curved flange over, and folded it to make it look to go in there. So now when you put your hand under, you can't fill any gaps underneath there. I can't really show you with that in the way. I try getting the camera in there, but it's kind of, it's more uniform to the scuttle. So now you can fold this up, you can stitch weld along there, you can weld it to obviously the flitch panel there, and then what I do is I trim the excess off, and then it's nice and tidy in there. But a lot of people have asked this question of how to do this. It really isn't hard, and like I mentioned, you don't really need to have it looking pretty. Let's pull that up a little bit more. So you've basically got a scuttle to make your shape. So use what you've got, guys. It's, you know, I'm not using any special tools here. It's a pair of pliers. So just got to clamp the grips there, just holding it in place. So but that one just needs knocking in a little bit in a corner there. I'm really happy with that. So be a stitch weld there, little stitch weld there, stitch weld there. Trim off the excess. Obviously, you have to stitch weld it or plug weld it along the back there. But obviously, you know, Simpsons Classics. We'll paint, obviously the inside scuttle's painted black anyway, and then we're going to paint this panel before we fit it. We'll prime it and paint it. So we're not sort of there ready yet, but just wanted to show you guys. It's literally, that's taken me a couple of seconds for you guys, but I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes for me to do that. So yeah, crack on the other side. This needs a bit of work. Obviously this is all very rough, so I managed to get this to fit a lot better here. It's sticking out still a little bit, but there is still loads of play and movement in this panel, so I'm not overly concerned. It's nice all along here, really impressed with that. It's a really nice even line. The wing sits back nice enough onto the inner wing. Front panel sort of in its where it's going to go. The latch and stuff like that comes down and goes exactly where it should go as well, which is important. Not too sure what's going on here. Now I think I still need to take some of the wing out. It's, with my repair there, is still too long. So I did leave maybe a bit too much on. So it's trying to force the wing in here. As obviously you can see, that is not cool. So that, I know how to rectify that. I think it just needs a little bit more lopping off at the bottom. So I'm going to mark it with a pen now and I know exactly what to take off. Round here again, pretty impressed with it. It's not too bad. Just needs a little tap with a hammer on that corner. I mean, I fitted Heritage front panels that needed this, and you all watched Budget Clubman. and I had just as many problems, but it's a nice even gap, so they're actually both butted up together, and obviously you have sealant for all there, but that's nice and uniform all the way around. So happy at that. Like I say, this looks bad. That's because it's forcing itself like that. So really happy along here. So the wing obviously needs to sit down, but that's a nice even panel. Obviously we're not attached anywhere at the bottom here, but this is a really nice even gap. Again, although this A panel is great, it fits really, really nice. Really happy with that. So this side, I think I know where I've gone wrong. Sorry about the really poor filming, but I feel like it should take you around the car, you should be able to see it better, because I know a lot of people are doing this at home themselves. So basically all I've done is I've basically boogered up there. I need to cut that back a bit more, just to allow the front panel to come back a bit. What I'm about to do in a second is close the bonnet down. I'll show you guys if it's off. It'll show how much it's off. It's really a smidge. Also, what's probably forcing this panel to not sit right is the flange on the new wing is actually toed in. So it's actually curving in, whereas it should be flat. So it sits obviously over the top of this. So that's probably not helping. So I need to take the wing off, really pull this out. So I've got no fouling on the original car. This side, like I said, that obviously just pulls tight and it's fine. We've got the issue here really. This is poor. I can't get the wing to come up high enough. Well, I can get the wing to come up high enough, that's fine, but the A panel won't sit with it. Obviously, that's not your panel gap. So people sitting here now, the panel gap police, going, panel gap's actually atrocious, mate. Yeah, I know that. But when you fold the A panel round, you get the line, you get the gap you want. The door won't open. Even if you've got the most perfect gap here, door won't open because you have to fold this flange around the flitch panel. So that's a pretty uniform gap, to be fair. But the whole of this needs to come forward. And what my concern is when it does that is it's going to open this gap up, and these are both really, really nice. They fit lovely around here. So what I think is at fault, looking at this area of the car, is again, these flanges are folded down. They need coming up. I'm literally just grabbed these out of the car, as you've just seen, and I'm mucking around with them on the car. Around here, obviously when you first saw me even try the front end on, we had big issues here. This is not too bad at all now. I mean, profile of it's not very good, but I'm pretty happy with that. That's gonna, you can see there, that's really nice. Both sides look like that, so I'm happy with that. This front end's gonna need filler. No matter what you do, they all need filler. Budget Clubman had a bit in places, but the Clubman was accident damaged. I don't believe this car to have been in an accident. It didn't look like it from the previous front end, although there was so much filler in it, probably couldn't tell. So what I'll do is stick you guys on the tripod now, and we'll knock the bonnet down and kind of see. So I'm going to go for the ride in the camera. There we go. In the tripod. So, action shot. Let's see what the gap's like on the bonnet. Obviously, here it's going to be massive, but what we can do is drop the bonnet down and move it around. But the main thing is I want to see where this goes. So let's put that like that, and then it's gone straight in on the latch. What I want to know is if there is the front sitting level with the front end. So I mean, sorry, the bonnet, is it protruding past front end? That will probably mean that my front end is too far back or too far forward. Obviously, while everything's loose, you can move all that around. So instantly, panel gaps are atrocious. So panel gaps. Ha. Like I mentioned, not the best there. That is a bit wide at the back, but you have to remember the wing has to come all the way in yet. So the wing's fouling on the bonnet now. Right, so that's a bit more uniform all the way down. Still a bit wide at the back, but we've got movement in hinges, obviously, remember. But you can see the front end, obviously I said I kept the bonnet in the original place. It's too far back, which is what I'm trying to say is, it is because it's pushing on my repair. So I need to take a bit of my repair out and try and let the inner wing relax to allow the front end to come back forward. I think that'll work. So a little bit more fettling to go. Yeah, this side, let's have a check out this side. Let's do both, haven't we? So again, the panel gap is a little bit wide. This is actually sat quite flush, so I think we're more or less in the right place. But obviously by coming forward with the front end, we'll bring the A panel where I want it. So Basically all I need to do is get this wing further over. So the way to get around this, so I'm not trying to say that I've got an answer for everything, but look at what we've got to play with. Really poor filming, guys, I do apologise, but action shots and all that. That's why my panel gap's so bad. So everything, look, everything's loose. So the wing needs to come right up and over. So can't do it one-handed, but it does move, it does come over. So what I'm going to use is some tech screws. In the next episode, I'm going to use some tech screws all the way along here and screw this exactly where I want it panel gap wise, and then make the A panels fit. I have been known to extend A panels because you are working with them, but I don't want to touch the A panels because they are the only heritage part of the car, and they're both not at fault. I believe the front panel to be causing issues. Also, you have to remember I put in just random repairs, so this side is going to be solved by me trimming a bit off. I think I'm going to go with taking the wings, the front panel off together and welding them together, and then putting it on as a one piece kind of a flip front, I guess, and then making it fit the inner wings. I think that's going to be the nicer finish. I can get good weld penetrations around here and keep this a lovely tight gap, and then make it fit the car, because it's just going to be a bit of pushing and pulling otherwise, and I just think this is the better way to do it. So right guys, that brings this episode to an end. Loads of just mucking around really. It's not really, yes, we've achieved something, but for me at the moment you feel like you're not, you feel like you're fighting it, but I honestly, obviously camera wise, you guys saw probably half an hour all in mucking around with the club and front end. There was about 4 days, probably exaggeration, a couple of days just mucking around with it to get it how we want it. And then in the end you saw I had to extend the bonnet because the car was accident damage. The heritage panels, which is all you can get for a clubman, didn't work very well, and I didn't want to cut into my new panels, which I didn't, so I made the bonnet fit it. I'm obviously not going to go to that extent with this. It looks bad at the moment, but I've got one clamp on each wing, so there's loads of movement, and it just needs a little bit of time. But if you haven't watched my Q&A, please go and watch that. It was very interesting. The questions I got asked I thought were great. But one of the things I did get asked is mini restoration, what tools we use. Hammer and dolly kit. So this is one of the hammers out my kit. This is probably one I use the most. It's the most battered one, but it's so good. It's got a sharp edge here which you can just tap in the corner of panels, and a pair of pliers. It's just a random old pair of pliers. This is all I use, and obviously I use a dolly. I'm going to have to use that on the front panel, but this is all I use really to get to where I've got to today. It's just folding metal, moving flanges, the pressings and panels these days, whether it's heritage or pattern, it's not this car at fault at all. It's just part. Like I always say, a car's original once, and yes, you can spend days and days and days. There's panel beaters out there. People I know loads of very good, skilled, highly trained people that can do the job better than me. But on your driveway, you can't afford all those tools, and you can't afford. I guess you got the time, but for me, this is stage one. This is 10% of the front end. This is me just throwing the panels on and seeing where we're at. So you just take your time, guys. You don't rush, because this is going to annoy you if it's wrong. So if you want to be a big panel gap perfectionist, you're going to have to spend the time. I am. Panel gaps do annoy me a little bit. Really happy with how the clubman turned out, but I would have probably spent a bit more time with the bonnet maybe. But the clubman, I did get really well. I was really happy with it. People that have watched that episode, that series, will see that. So this one is going to be no exception. This isn't as bad. This isn't accident damage, this car. So I'm just working with loads of different brands of panels, which don't help. But I like a challenge. So these will be back out again. Next episode, guys, we're going to get closers welded in. That's ticked off the list. I've shown you guys how to do that, so I hope that helps. Any more questions, drop in the comments below. Then we're going to get everything tech screwed together. If I can get the doors and everything else, shut lines looking nice. Remember, the doors aren't bolted in properly, so I need to change the hinges on that really. I've got a door skin to do on that door on the passenger side, but I'm going to fit it with the original skin, because that's how the car originally was. So we have to go to a factory fit as best you can. Get the tech screws out, best way to do it. So I'll show you how to use all them in the next episode, guys. Signing out. I can't really say any more on it at the moment. I'm just going to keep going on about panel gaps otherwise. But I hope you guys got something from this. It literally is just time. Please check out our link in the description below for our sponsors, Frost.
We've got plenty of bits and pieces coming. If you haven't already seen it, we've got James, he's now stripping Eve, ready for restoration. I believe he's going to strip it, and I think he's going to start removing some of the panels himself. So we'll be able to see another well, a few years apart. That's a 95 car, this is a 99 car, so you'll be able to see the difference. But that car is poorly, it does need a bit of work, but can't be as poorly as this one, can it? Can it? So catch you next one, guys. Thank you for your support. Please, like I say, chat amongst yourselves in the comments below. It's not I try and answer as many comments as I can. Catch you next one. Look after yourselves.